All right, welcome back, guys and girls, to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne Europe qualifiers. As we now, I believe, we have our next game lined up, don't we, Sean?
Yes, we do. We are going to have, from what I've been told, TLO versus Happy, which is a lower bracket round 2 game. So these two players did lose in the winner bracket. TLO lost versus Mana, but then TLO had a default win over Baby Knight, who gave him a forfeited win there. Whereas we saw Happy, who made his way through Titan first, but then just lost versus 4GG. So we're going to follow Happy down from that loss against 4GG, where he pairs up against the little one.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. But just going up to the top bracket quickly, it would be very interesting to see if you're keeping yourselves up to date with the bracket, because Hasselhoff is currently leading against Jack G, apparently. So if Mana ends up beating Kane, and in the semi-final it actually has to be Hasselhoff versus Mana, that could be quite interesting.
Absolutely, a nice PvP to watch there, if that was to be the case. Of course, Jack G and 4GG, the two Koreans in this bracket, two favorite Koreans in this bracket. Of course, Stardust, another Korean, but not in the winner bracket for now after that. First loss versus Nurcho, which we saw earlier on. But we are going to be jumping in to this next game. In a couple of moments' time, still best of threes all the way through. There are still about 4 best of threes to go until we're able to determine the 3 players who will have tickets and hotel paid for to play the Intel Extreme Masters live in Cologne.
And all the Intel Extreme Masters events do actually have an open bracket at the tournament as well. So if you don't qualify, you can attend the open bracket. However, obviously you've got to pay your own travel there and make sure that everything is sturdy for you. And then joining an open bracket, I don't know entirely how competitive we'll see Brazil. Brazil's very far out of the way, but for Cologne, it's a little closer to home, so I think that the open bracket will be quite competitive. That's
right,
Cologne.
In the heart of Europe, where lots of esports does happen here in Germany, in Cologne. Of course, the World Championship Series, Intel Extreme Masters is here in Cologne. You've got LCS in Cologne as well. Lots of esports here, lots of personalities, lots of players, lots of individuals in esports all happening here. And we are almost ready now for the first game between these two players. It's going to be on heavy rain in this best of 3. Who do you think takes it? You think Happy's still a bit rustled from his previous game versus 4GG? Or is this just going to be an easy win for him?
I think Happy could take it. TLO's... I've not seen the most amazing of games out of TLO recently. The one thing that really does stand out for me for TLO is his game against MMA in the Acer Team Story Cup Finals, where he did push MMA quite far and played very, very nicely, but just wasn't able to take it at the very last second. So, guys, let's jump into game number 1 here. Best of 3 to see who is unfortunately eliminated from the entire tournament, as we have spawning down to the southern position as our red Terran. He is Empire Happy. And up to the north, we have our blue Zerg, quite aptly blue. He is Liquid TLO.
Will the Berliner... I'm not sure if that's what people are called who live in...
I think they are.
Berliners?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, will the Berliner, lives in Berlin, be able to make his way across the country to the west side to play in the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne? He would have to knock out Happy and knock out quite a few more before he finds himself in the lower bracket. There is only 1 slot available to qualify. Winners bracket will have 2, so the top 2 players in the winner bracket are qualified to the Intel Extreme Masters. So there's only 1 slot in the lower bracket between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players left.
6 players.
That are still in the lower bracket, but more to come from the winner bracket currently.
Okay. So there's a lot of players left.
Yes, more than 6. But 6 in there right now.
Go.
With more to come, but more to lose. So it's always going to be roughly 6, I imagine, then. 1 dropping out, 1 coming down. Either way, into this game, we have a Reaper opening here from Happy, which is rather standard here. There's 2 openings. It's either going to be the Reaper expansion or it is going to be the command center first. Reaper expansion has a lot more, or just has I'd like to look at the Reaper expansion and be like, all right, well, it's not just the Reaper expansion. There's a lot more to it. There's the initial harassment, where you could get a drone or 2 if you're lucky. There's the picking off of the Zerglings, which is the first stage of the Reapers, involving scouting within that as well. scouting for the gases, checking out the speed upgrade for the Zerglings is coming or not. Then you have the second wave of the Reaper, which is then the harassment to the Queens on the front door. The third wave of the Reaper is then joining them with Hellions to ramp the pressure up even more. And if you're really good with your Reapers, you're able to savor them until the Medivacs run at the 11-minute mark or 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
So there's multiple different stages of the Reaper usage.
And I really think that the most important stage, well, for me personally, is the coupling up with the Hellions. Because that's where you can... If your opponent is not doing well, if he's like not properly prepared, that's where you can actually do quite a bit. The Reaper's tanking for those Hellions, moving back and forth, soaking up that damage, and then trying to find little holes. I really like that phase of TVZ.
And Zergling speed through Dr. Dario, Liquid TLO, who's taking his gas after the spawning pool. I think his speed from this point will finish around the 6-minute 30 mark. It's not the fastest speed, but around 6:30, 6:15, somewhere along there. So Happy will move in now, obviously start his harassment into the drone line, looking to see whatever he can get is possible. And we'll also need to check the gas, because he'll need to know at what time will the Zergling speed be completed. We got to see, the gas being put down at that exact time, but Happy's going to have to calculate it through when he sees the Zergling speed being researched.
Very good control so far by TLO. Will only lose one Zergling during the entirety of that. Of course, a little bit of minerals lost, having to cancel some buildings, but aside from that, not too much. Buying time for those queens to be out. So nicely done so far by Mr. TLO.
And Happy hasn't even seen when Zergling speed will be completed. The fastest time is 6 minutes. So he does need to have a look around, to be honest. He doesn't really know how long he can stay around. There might not even been a gas been taken yet. Either way, he's going to go for his 3 command centers. Second gas been put down here, quite early on actually, here for Happy, after the command center's been put down. So I think he's going to go up towards a Banshee here.
Yeah, it looks like it. The starport is being added on pretty quickly, and also the barracks is moving into a position to make it easier to switch over with a tech lab once that wants to get added on.
Happy did see the gas now.
Yeah.
He's seen that it's got enough, and he doesn't know exactly because he didn't see the spawning pool and if it's been researched, but he knows it's 6 minutes, right? So which is why the Reaper's going back. The fastest time speed can be done. Even though in this game it's just a little bit later on because the gas was taken earlier. I mean, a little bit later. But I don't think we're going to see Cloak. It's just going to be Banshees here. The gas was taken quite late compared to if you wanted Cloak Banshees. So he's kept the 2 Reapers. Now the second stage of the Reaper begins with the Hellions. But there's also going to be Banshees backing them up as well. So this is going to be quite a lot of pressure coming in the next couple of minutes here for TLO. And he's yet to find out anything with his Overlords, but he will do soon, as there is one on the right-hand side, which is moving in to find the Banshee production beginning.
Yeah. Very good initial placement of these Overlords, gotta say. But I do like the composition from Happy in general, who actually, wow, starts Cloak. That might be a fake, actually.
It might be, but it might not be, because usually you wouldn't get Cloak here because you'd like to start Stim quite fast, but what happens if he's playing Mech? Which means he could still dedicate to this Cloak.
Yeah, that's nice. But as I say, the technical composition of... wait, he just started a Viking and cancelled the Banshee completely.
Yeah, I think it's because it got spotted.
Yeah.
And TLO's already adding on extra queens and spores, so... I mean, it's kind of done its job in that aspect. He's forced the reaction out of TLO. The Banshee's not going to be invested into. He'll cancel Cloak now. And he is playing Mech, by the way. Started a second factory. So he is going to play Mech here. And he's going to be able to take a very fast third base with this Mech too. Beautiful. You really want to be doing that. Yeah,
it's actually a really good thing that you point out there, because, I mean, not only does the high ground right next to this expansion also protect it if you want to use siege tanks up there, but just in general, there's not a whole lot that the initial tier 1 units of Zerg can actually do in that position from that point on.
Not a lot.
It's nice.
He should be eventually creating a wall of supply depots and a bunker on the left-hand side of his command center, and then having his army on the right-hand side. The army is going to need to be on the right because this is the bigger area of surface area for the Zerg to attack through. But TLO, still without any proper information on what he's playing against. He's seen the third has been taken, but doesn't know if he's playing against Bio or Mech. Hence, maybe, him not deciding to research an attack upgrade yet.
And, well...
maybe he's waiting for the layer. Maybe he just made a mistake. I'm not sure what the full reason for that is. I think he should have started to research something by now.
It's a little bit weird. Where did that scan drop? It dropped
in the main base, looking for the Spire to see if it had done or not. Having not done now, which means he knows that 2 upgrades have been completed before the layer had started.
Oh.
So...
oh. Okay, that Zergling, he didn't manage to... Well, I mean, he spotted a tank as well as a lot of Hellions, but aside from that, he didn't spot the double armories at the back. Wait, he saw extra...
He saw a tank, right?
He saw extra factories as well, now that I look at it.
Okay.
So...
Well, seeing a tank in the extra factory, he knows he's playing against mech, so... Whatever the case, he knows he's playing against mech here, and he actually decided to cancel the Carapace upgrade. And this is a big investment to cancel it, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Well, those Hellions looking to put on some pressure on the right-hand side here. There's only Zerglings to really hold on against these for now, as well as the Queens, obviously. The Zerglings trying to get the wraparound, but if those Hellions are controlled properly, then he's not going to really get the surround he wants.
And the Hellions are going to get into the drone line now.
Gotta be careful. Blocking with a few drones, a smart move there by TLO to try and save the rest. But at the same time, that's still a lot of damage being done there. 13 workers, as well as all of those Zerglings in the process.
Because of this, he's been put off balance a little bit, which means he hasn't been lava injecting, and he doesn't really have the right lava, I don't think, as the Spire pops. Which means he cannot pop the Mulus out straight away, which was the goal of cancelling the Carapace. He wants as many Mulus for the first pop as possible, and then we'll go over to range upgrades, I'd imagine. The +1 attack for Roaches and Hydralisks and Swarm Hosts, and then the Carapace upgrade behind that. But he wants the pop. Does he have enough lava? No, he's got 1, 2 lava, 4, 8, 9, 10. Okay, popped at 10. But does he have enough minerals to balance it? Not quite.
It was just at the right time that came along. And there's those Mutalisks now on the way. The Siege Tank's actually doing quite a bit of damage to these SCVs themselves, but in the grand scheme of things, only 2 end up dying to that Zergling run by. So not the most effective of attacks there for TLO.
So 12 Mutalisks, 30 Mutalisks. But there are turrets and Thors out. The Mutalisks are going to have a difficult time, I'd imagine, breaking in here. And I'm interested to see what the follow-up from the German's going to be. He's built 50 Mules. Does he keep on building Mules forever?
It kind of...
It might seem like it if he's not going to start his ground upgrades anytime soon.
Especially with the Carapace being invested into as well.
Yeah, I think we may see only Mutalisks in this game.
Carapace is such a good option against the meching player because of Javelin missiles. I mean, Javelin missiles do a huge amount of damage to them from Thors anyway. Wow. But because it fires so many times... in quick succession, it negates more and more as the fires come along. So it's really important.
All right, so he's dedicating fully to air.
Wow,
this is pretty crazy actually. This is something which I think Lenok did against Mario in the GS. No, against somebody in the GSL. I can't remember who it was. Maybe Bravo. But anyway, how successful will these be?
Magic boxing, important. Turrets as well as the Thor going to go to work on these Mutalisks, but one Thor will fall rapidly. So that's 1 down. And for that, well, didn't lose too many Mutalisks.
Still, it's only Thor Hellbat being made. Has Happy played against TLO doing this before? Is a big question. He's not building tanks, which would be, nice if he was playing against the regular switch-up.
Yeah.
But he's only playing, as you can see... Oh, look, it's TLO has decided to get a Baneling Nest and +1 melee. He's going to get Baneling speed, and he is going to use the splash damage available from Banelings. Oh, this is going to be lots of bangs.
Yeah,
he's
really
going to go pop, pop, pop when the Thors move out eventually. And I'd imagine around 2-2 they might move out, but can he get the Baneling speed out in time as well?
It really needs to be there so he can make that as swift a strike as possible. 2 Hellbats are going to get dropped up into the 4th or 5th base, I should say, for TLO. But the Mutalisks will swiftly shut that down.
And if Happy's smart, he can just click on a drone and be like, wait a minute, they don't have any Carapace upgrades?
Yeah, that's true.
Wait a minute.
It's a bit weird.
Is he not upgrading any ground? And if he is thinking along the lines, he should be able to identify that he is playing against only air and then future Banelings here. But very heavy Thor is great, obviously. But how well are the Banelings going to connect? Remember, Burrow's in there as well. He might set up some surprises for Hellbats.
And the Hellbats, speaking of which, they're just on the left-hand side once again, shutting some income down there as well. So Happy's actually ahead in the income whilst that base is a little bit crippled. But at the same time, Happy has also spotted this sneaky, cheeky hatchery over on the right.
Yep, and we'll get rid of that.
Yeah, bye-bye.
So now 2-2 is done. And this is kind of a regular push-out from a Terran player because they have great upgrades. The Mulus Flock is something which is very scary, which may force Happy never ever to push out. Because if he does try to push out, then the Mulus can counterattack. But if Happy secures a 4th base and secures all 4 bases without taking damage to counterattacks, if he's still floating around with some units, then he can set up to build the most impossible army ever. And with all these turrets being built on only Thors, I'm sure he knows he's playing against only Mutalisks now. Look at all these turrets in the base.
That's a ridiculous amount of turrets, but also a ridiculous amount of Mutalisks looking to bring those down quickly. And when you've got that many Mutalisks, the turrets don't do all too much against it.
And to be honest, what I would like to see maybe is mines as well.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Instead of just Hellbats right now, I'd put some mines around these turrets as well to make it really difficult for TLO to get in there.
Yeah, that would be a nifty little move. We have another hatch we're going to try and plant down for TLO at the bottom. But in general, I love watching Zergs that end up getting like double fire upgrades and double ground upgrades all at the same time. Really, really heavy focus into those upgrades. Yes, of course, he did cancel that carapace at the beginning, but it's so nice to watch in the end.
All right, so Happy's decided to move out with a decent-sized army, but he also has to make sure he has enough to defend against TLO's counterattack, which would always happen if he moved out. And from what I can see around these 3 bases, he does not have enough right now.
This is going to be difficult for Happy to hold on back at home, but he's also doing quite a bit of damage where he can. He's going to catch a lot of the reinforcing Mutalisks that would extra pop right next to these Thors. They just bring them out of the sky so quickly, especially without that +2 carapace finished up. He has to evacuate this base as well, but the Mutalisks killed off both of the armories whilst the upgrades were on the way.
Which means no Thors can be built anymore until that armory is rebuilt on this planetary fortress. Oh, the Mutalisks go over quite a lot of turrets.
Oh, that's a lot of damage being done, and if they try and go for those Thors now to help out the defense, that's going to be difficult.
There's not that many Banelings, only 10. He's really been suffering with his income, his gas income, and there's a lot of Thors here. That one tank could burst out 10, well, not 10, but 6, 8 of these. Oh, they're unsieged. That's a little bit unfortunate for him.
The Banelings are going to try and roll in, but what are they really going to connect with? They connect with about 2 or 3 Thors, but that's about it. The Mutalisk numbers, they are really well spread, as well as the Thors. And again, those Javelin missiles just bring them out of the sky time after time. The Mutalisks don't have the damage available to them to kill off these 7 Thors that quickly.
Great spread of Thors. Good game. Nice game from Happy. Good game from TLO, actually. Good game overall.
Yeah.
From both sides there. A bit of a unique game between the both of them, but a good one nonetheless.
Power plays there from Happy. I love seeing that big Thor number rolling out and saying, come at me. I don't think you're going to be able to deal with this, but there you go.
All right, so first game goes over to Empire Happy, and now TLO fights for his life in the Intel Extreme Masters European Cologne Qualifier. This is his only chance, really, if he wants to get in with the free ticket, the free hotel, and of course the opportunity to play for $25,000 at the actual event itself in about a month's time.
Yeah, good chunk of change that. Good chunk of change. Of course, there will be some players rivaling them. We already know Hero Marine is there. Next week, we'll have the Korean qualifiers as well. And we know that, I think it's Pult and QXE that qualified from the American.
North America qualifiers were Pult and QXE. 2 Terran players coming over. Hero Marine qualified through the EPS. And now 3 more players will join today for the total.
Well, that's good. It's good. We always end up having some nice lineups. I think Intel Extreme Masters is... we do have WCS point invites as well, but it's a very, very open tournament. Not too many invites in the end, because we obviously have the open bracket as well. So it's only like 4 invites in total, I think.
So the second map here is Polar Night, which is one of the more difficult maps to play mech on. It's well, I mean, if you want to play mech, you'd almost have to take the base, which is out in the open, like in the front of the Terran base, where you'd have to lift up and plot down. But that's very difficult to hold on to. I wonder if Happy will be forced to change his style here due to the map. Yeah.
Perhaps. That is certainly a possibility, and you have to cover so many angles with missile turrets if TLO wants to play a similar style to what he did there.
It's almost Happy change.
Yeah, it's almost 360 around the main and natural to be able to defend against that kind of play. All right, let's jump into game number 2. As Polar Night is our map. And spawning down in the southern position, currently 1 game up after a really nice little mech play. He is Empire Happy. And up to the north, we have Dr. Dario, as you rightly called him. He is TLO.
So Reaper opening here, I'd imagine again from Happy. It's a very stable opening, and he likes to use it too. He really does like to use it. So I'd imagine that's his opening. But overall, his strategy very different from his actual opening. I'm very curious to see Usually a Terran player would like to take the further left-hand side base for his third on this map, but you can never, ever, ever, ever try to take that as a mech player.
Yeah.
Unless you know, want to take a base much later than you'd like. There is the option to break through the rocks to try to take the back one, but then again, it takes forever to break through both of those rocks, so his base then is delayed. Remember, his third base in the last game was at 8 minutes. Incredibly fast.
Yeah, very, very nicely established there for Happy. And, well, TLO on this map. I'm curious to see what he's going to bring to the table. I mean, he could still bring a Mutalist play here. And, well, TLO, I don't think it really worked out too well for him. You were mentioning, you know, the Carapace was cancelled so early in the previous game. If he'd have stuck with that, stuck to his guns and kept that going, do you think there would have been a better outcome there for TLO, or would it have not mattered too much?
It's very difficult to call. I mean, he would have then initially built a few Mulas and then switched over to the Roaches. And with the way that Happy was so set up so fast with anti-air, I think just building like 8 to 10 Mutalisks from the get-go and then switching over probably resulted in the same thing.
Right.
It's because his defense was so good, he wouldn't have taken any damage versus the initial set of Mutalisks, and then he would have lost probably to a 2-2 timing. But then, again, it is very difficult to call, so...
Well, I still think, in general, that map, Heavy Rain, is a good map for mech. And there's so many choke points that if you're going to play like a Roach style to try and break a meching player, you have to come in from several different chokes at crossovers, and it can be difficult. Otherwise, you just get bottled up and you get gunned down.
Happy, though, I think he's changed his strategy with that change his opening. Command center first, into barracks, and then the refinery. The areas he can go down, he can play extremely greedy and go for a biocentric style with double engineering bay after the third command center. But there is an option here, knowing how he likes to play this matchup recently, where after throwing down the reactor and factory, he could take a second gas and could go Hellion Banshee into a more MVP style of mech, where it would be Hellion Banshee and just play it from there, continuing to build Banshees and tanks. But that will all come down to after the command center's been thrown down, really, or so should I say the factory first. After the factory, is it then the command center, or is it another gas?
That's a very, very good question. I think we could see another command center as Happy. I mean, he does like his macro focus going into these matchups, and I mean, his third command center last game was so fast as well. But you mentioned the MVP style of mech, and that's something that I've really enjoyed watching ever since. It's been a long time ago, actually. I think it was Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, like 2012 or something ridiculous, where he really brought it to the table and was using that for a long time, even in Wings Liberty. Whoa.
Happy, instead of taking the second gas to go to Banshees, instead of taking the third command center, has added on 2 extra barracks here. He will be going for a timing of units here. Most likely combat shield timing is one of the faster ones to do. It's not as strong as the stim timing, but he's going to try and hit his opponent quite hard. It could be Marauder Hellion, which is another combination he could use, but I'm expecting it to be along the lines of combat shields here. And this is something which TLO would almost need to spot. Otherwise, he will not build a Baneling Nest early, unless he was trying to go for some form of aggression himself, which could be possible, but TLO, I don't think, would do that here.
And he's trying to poke in with these overlords just to get a little snippet as to what's going on. He saw that a factory was already there, but he hasn't seen anything of those 2 barracks.
TLO's taking 2 extra gases and going up to lair. He's going for... He's actually expecting... I think what's his vision, so? He might be expecting the Hellion Banshee play. His build right now is a direct counter to Hellion Banshee if he goes straight to Mulus, which it looks like he is. But that's almost an instant loss versus a timing of Marine and Hellions, which it is going to be stim. It's going to be a little bit later, a little bit more powerful with Medivacs as well. And this is going to be absolutely brutal if TLO doesn't realize what's going on.
That's a scary thing to deal with, but he is sending in an Overlord to try and get some scouting information, which right now Happy actually hasn't reacted to.
See this.
Hellions do poke on forwards, and again, Happy still hasn't reacted to this Overlord flying in, and the two Marines on patrol elsewhere.
He's going to see this now, so immediately we'll see in the top left, the production tab, a Baneling nest thrown down. Immediately, he's now spotted that his opponent has no third command center, there's a lot of production down, and he will need Banelings to deal with this.
This is a good scout here from TLO. Meanwhile, there was some harassment down at the third location. The Queen's trying to push away these Hellions. They've up in 6 in total. And that Baneling nest now does get started.
Yeah, and he should start building a lot of units. There's no really way he can ever try to mine from that third base, but he doesn't want to lose it. He can't mine from it, but he can't lose it. So we'll see the units start to climb up here for TLO, and he will have to mount his defense against the Stim timing, which is coming, as Stim is ready now in just 50 seconds. Is that 50 seconds enough time to get enough Banelings out? He won't be able to get Baneling speed out in time, that's for sure.
And there's Hellions still posing a threat in the middle of the map. The Zerglings haven't been able to find them just yet. Trying to push away some of this creep where he can. TLO's creep spread in the game number 1 was really good. Happy wants to shut a little bit of that down, but the Lings not really going to be able to get that counter fully going.
Right. A scan clearing creep here. The medivacs are loaded. He's actually changed his, the original plan is to do this all together, but he's got 2 medivacs, so they're going to go to the main base. Has been spotted. Counter attack was attempted there by TLO. Is he now ready? Banelings, 6 of them are being morphed in. 22 more additional Zerglings.
And the boost straight on into the main. Spore Crawlers are being added on, but it might be a little bit too late. Those Banelings do not have centrifugal hooks. So very important for him to try and get good connections. But in the end, that wasn't actually the best of trades there for the 2 Banelings.
No, it was not indeed. And this attack's assault continues on.
Queen does get roasted at that third base, as you say, that's continuing on and splitting these Marines very nicely to trade away quite a lot of Banelings for Marines. And he's still not really being able to mine at this third base. That's really annoying for TLO.
And I say this is quite a successful defense here from TLO. He's hardly taken any damage. He's picked off a lot of the Hellions on the right. He's picked off all of the Marines pretty much.
Done well, done well.
Now he can start to drone and transfer to that third.
Oh, and even gets a medevac on the retreat out there with the Mutalisks that do pop.
That's a good little defense there from TLO, and it all came down to scouting nice and early on. But bear in mind, Happy does have 1-1 on the way. He's got a third command center now up and running. He's not considerably far behind, but I would say TLO has a bit of a small advantage here, especially with the next bit of gas that he has. He spends it on his 2-2 upgrades to further the lead that he's gained himself.
Mutalisks and Ling's actually just running on the right-hand side to make sure there's nothing else going on. He wants to try and hunt down those, or he wanted to try and hunt down those Hellions, just to make sure that they weren't going to be too much of a nuisance at that third location, but they were right at the back, getting repaired up. Happy making efficient use out of any units he can do. And aside from that, Happy now looking to establish a base with Widow Mines, most importantly. So it's going to be harder for TLO to pressure.
But they do not have drilling claws yet. The second factory's only just been added on, so they are a little bit slow, but they are now placed down underneath. No 2-2 upgrades yet from TLO. No Baneling speed yet from him either.
4 Banelings trying to walk on in a little bit slowly there. One of them will end up dying off.
He's not going to really do anything in here. This is a little bit too brave from him.
Ooh.
Off creep, no Baneling speed, no further upgrades. Only just now starting it, and I think he wasted a bit of time there. Wasted a bit of money for not achieving anything.
Drops the scan, sees the 4th going down, tries to send a medevac over to the right-hand side. Lings did spot that just briefly, but did TLO see it is the big question. As now the Widowmines trying to set themselves up in the middle of this creep, and he forces the cancellation very quickly on that third.
He needs more upgrades. He needs +2 carapace. He needs the Baneling speeds. And Happy's got a drop on the third. He's got a lot of units on the left.
This army is difficult to deal with here for TLO. Those Banelings really need to connect, but the splits of Happy are very good. Oh, a nice Widowmine connection. So will the second one also kill off a lot of those Banelings. TLO is in a lot of trouble. Despite doing damage at his opponent's third base, these Marines are holding strong, holding at the natural.
Yeah, this is a really nice play here from Happy. And TLO's in a bit of trouble here. There's only one medevac healing a lot of these low health Marines. But TLO doesn't have that many units out right now. He's about to have quite a few pop.
Supply blocked for just a second there. The Marines do end up getting cleaned up for the most part. Another Widow Mine actually hit a few Zerglings back there. But aside from that, how much can Happy really do at the front anymore? It's very suspect.
There is one Widow Mine. Not too many Marines. Oh, that only hit one Zergling, that Widow Mine.
Not the best of trades. Marines trying to hold on strong. Has to force the cancellation of the bunker here. So Happy not in the best spot right now to defend. Doesn't really have any Widow Mines here. It's just on all these Marines. There's one Widow Mine there, but it's not Burrow. It does end up dying before it even gets to Burrow. And the Banelings still do not have centrifugal hooks. He hasn't been able to find spare gas, really, to be able to make that work, or just hasn't got it up in general. That one Widow Mine at the front gets a lot of those Banelings. A great retreat out there by Happy. Good connection with that last Widow Mine.
German player losing quite a bit there, but putting the pressure on for sure. Now finally got some overseers. Needs to get the Baneling speed researched. It has to happen.
Yeah.
He's had the money, he's had the time. But look at this, Widow Mines now, the aggressive ones that are out, they're actually even on the natural of TLO getting kills into the drone line. And he needs to deal with those, he needs to stabilize a little bit, but Happy's not researching 2-2, so the longer this game goes on, the better it does become for TLO. He just needs to keep surviving over the next few minutes against these assaults.
Few Banelings morphing in, but they all get cancelled, and 2 even end up dying off at the very end. TLO still supply block, trying to get 7 Overlords out to try and compete with the pressure that we're seeing from Happy through the middle of the map. But right now, TLO is choking. He needs some way to not only establish a 4th base, but also try and put on pressure to his opponent's 3rd. But it's difficult.
Yeah, still no Baneling speed here. It's a crucial upgrade for these Banelings.
Yeah.
And especially because of the lack of creep here. TLO's still without a 4th base though, so I assume that Happy is feeling pretty confident at the moment.
Oh yeah.
With no 4th base of his opponent, does limit his gas income by quite a bit, especially picking off Mutalists like that.
Yeah. Happy now hasn't actually added on any more supply depots, but if he's going to end up trading away, he can kind of continue on producing.
129 is really low.
It is.
He should definitely be adding on more.
Exactly. So, well, Banelings will walk forwards again, trying to get some connections with some of this bio, but there was a medevac that split it off to the left-hand side. Widow Mines are helping to support this. And the Banelings... Oh, I really need to see central fugal hooks, man. This is...
Oh, that was a nice pick-off, though. Picked off about 4 Widow Mines there, but there's a drop inside the main base. Medevac's going to get picked off quite fast because of Spore Crawlers, and drones are going to have to do the job here. Remember, these Marines are still only 1-1, so they're not the strongest of Marines.
This is actually getting a little bit out of control now without the supply depots, because he hasn't added on them for a long, long time. He's trying to reproduce, trying to hold off this torrent of aggression that we're seeing from TLO, who tries to flood across this and actually, you know, completely turns it around. Happy just didn't have the units present to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I think this is a very aggressive game by both players. They both are making mistakes here, but it's just so cutthroat, and TLO seems to have broken the front line of defense. The 3rd base has been left exposed. He's getting into the production with his Mutalix, and there are quite a few of them. And without these 2-2 upgrades, well, it is 2-2 for TLO over the 1-1, and it is starting to pay a big difference.
Yeah, this is just action all across Happy's base, but all of it is in favor of TLO pretty much, as more Mutalists, more Zerglings will just try and get over here as quickly as possible. But the entire army supply of Happy is pretty much in those medevacs. There's no fighting units to speak of, and even those are going to plummet down.
Yeah, good game.
Nice.
Tied up 1-1. Very, very hyper-aggressive game from both players there. Just from the starting build order, Happy going for a little bit of a timing before his 3rd command center. Whew. Back and forth, but TLO is the one that comes out ahead.
That was tough for Happy. Well, he looked in great positions at times there, but I think that supply block was a real detriment to him, just being able to get those units in the right places. And in theory, that drop at the end was kind of a cool idea, but because there was those 2 Spore Crawlers, it got shut down so ridiculously quickly.
Yeah.
So didn't have an extra 8 Marines, I guess, for the defense and knock-on effects, I guess.
All right, so the next map is going to be Frost, a bigger 4-player map here between these 2 players. And I'd imagine that Happy's not going to try something too crazy this game. He may go back to a standard style. I don't think he'll try 2 timings in a best of 3. He usually try 1, but not more than that here.
And favorable spawning positions for our Terran as we jump into game number 3. Spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have Empire Happy as our red Terran. And down to the bottom left, we have our blue Zerg, Liquid TLO.
And I think in these positions for Happy, they are quite decent, of course. I think it kind of streamlines the game if it goes into a regular style of play where we see the continued assault of Marines, mines, and medevacs. Because there's 2 angles you kind of take. You take the Xel'Noga Tower as the pivot point in the middle of the map, and you either drop It depends on where the 4th base is, or which... does TLO want to attack the 3rd or the 4th? I mean, sorry, Happy want to attack the 3rd or the 4th. Either way, is you drop one location, which is either the 3rd or 4th base of TLO, while waypointing to the other. I'd imagine he'd be dropping down south, because then not only can he drop this base, but he can also drop into the main at the same time, and then just rally from the Xel'Naga Tower into this other base on the left-hand side. That's the usual game plan of a Terran in these positions against the Zerg. And all TLO has to do is just be efficient. Just you know, play the game out smooth, win all the fights, get the creep spread out well, get great detonations with the Banelings onto you know, the Marines and stuff. Make sure the Mutas track every drop. Make sure the Overlord spread is good. But that's if it is a normal game.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, having centrifugal hooks on the Banelings would also help. It's very, very nice upgrade. Even if you have the creep advantage when you're taking engagement, still having centrifugal hooks super important. And well, Happy for now is going to go command center first on the high ground. So I like this from Happy. You really don't see too much early aggression from TLO, especially on this map specific. I mean, like, why would you? It's a 4-player map, very difficult to really make work.
Yeah, it's a massive risk that not too many players would like to take. But command center first from Happy. TLO does have the option to scout a lot more freely this game. So that would, again, suggest that Happy wouldn't try to go for some form of timing here, if TLO has the option to go in and scout quite easily. He also didn't reveal his Overlord here. Yep. Which means Happy will have to go, well, not have to, but will go the wrong way scouting, which will give TLO a slight advantage. He knows where his opponent is, he knows he's taking a single gas, he knows he's playing kind of regular, but Happy doesn't know if we are going to see Zergling speed early on, if we're going to see a fast Roach Baneling attack. He has no idea, and he won't find out. That will be hidden, that only TLO will have the key to reveal. Yeah,
really neat scouting actually by TLO, not only seeing the command center, but also then poking in again down to the south and seeing the refinery, whilst keeping that Overlord hidden. So very, very nicely done. Whilst Happy's still doing ring around the roses on the map with this poor little SCV who's losing a lot of mind time.
Yeah, he's not going to really get any information. The Queens will be out. Oh, and he'll be pushed back, but he will see double Queens, I'd imagine, so he can know that TLO had played a gasless star from the get-go. But what is Happy looking to do? Taking that second gas this time. Ooh. And that is before the factory as well. Usually you see the factory first, or the reactor or factory first, but that is quite a fast second gas.
All right. Well,
we could see maybe 2 factories come out from this. Could be Blue Flame, could be Cloak Banshees. Couple of options available. 1 Marine down there, the bottom left on patrol move to keep the Overlords away from scouting out what Happy's going to go for. But it doesn't seem like he's going for a 3rd command center this game. What option is he going to choose?
I would love to see Blue Flame, but I think that... well, actually, considering how much...
There you go. Second factory.
Yeah. I mean, considering how much damage the Hellions did in game number 1 and how open TLO was.
Yeah, but, I mean, every good Zerg player is going to create at least 2 evolution chambers in the wall. That's what they're for, to wall off against these type of things. You know, there won't be roaches, I'd imagine. But if TLO is able to spot this and get some indication, he could throw down Spine and Queens, but... unless he spots it, this is going to be very difficult to find out.
I actually want to correct myself on my previous statement because I was thinking about 4GG and Happy and I somehow got them mixed up, so whatever. But Happy now, yeah, he knows that there was, he knows where his opponent spawned at least, and he's going to try and follow. So I really do like the Blue Flame Hellion though, just in general, it's cool.
All right, so this is going to be a big attack of Hellions. TLO even researching Overlord speed early in this game. He's got another 45 seconds until that is completed. And that is enough time, really, because if you think about the upgrade for the Blue Flame, that's like 2-minute upgrade.
Yeah, it's really long.
So he's actually going to be able to get in there in enough time. He's got a Spine Crawler being built anyway, just in case, because he has no idea to what's going on. He knows there's a Patrol Marine hiding something.
And Happy also has to hide his...
I don't think this is going to work.
He has to hide that 3rd Hellion, like that would always be produced, and he's going to hide it right at the back. If you see an uneven number of Hellions, it's a little bit weird.
Overlord speed's completed. He's going to go in and spot it. Great scouting from TLO.
Very nice. It's like, why would you have a Hellion behind your mineral line first and then gets to see them anyway.
And he sees the 2 factories. Fantastic scout here from TLO. And he may even just throw down a Roach Warren if he wants to play it with Roaches. I think he should do. And there it is. And this is some fantastic scouting. Blue Flame only just over halfway completed. Happy has been found out. And now TLO has the information. But can he translate that information into success?
We'll see. He's actually got melee as well as range.
He's going to go for a counter-attack. So as soon as he defends, a counter-attack, probably throw down a Bailey Nest soon, or maybe doesn't even need the Bailey Nest, but a big counter-attack with Roach and Zerglings as soon as the defense is done. He's thinking steps ahead.
Also, I like melee and range in general against mech, because Carapace really doesn't do a huge amount against a mech player. It doesn't really negate all that much. If you have the damage, then maybe you can actually rip through the mech a little bit quicker during all of that. Across both upgrades, 9 Roaches now in production, looking to move down to that 3rd base to try and defend it once they pop.
Yep. So this is pretty good here for TLO. He's scouted, he's got a lot of drones in his natural, waiting to transfer.
Will he get it? He gets it!
Even stopping his opponent's 3rd.
The layer just popped as that command center was about to get over there. So very, very nicely done here by TLO. Good reaction times by him.
Yeah, it should start Roach speed here if he's going to dedicate to Roaches, which is what that +1 attack is for, I'd imagine. Can transfer to his 3rd efficiently, but no, he actually starts the Infestation Pit. I wonder if we're going to see Swarm Host here.
Swarm Host.
He could try Swarm Host.
He could.
Definitely could do.
And all these Overlords dancing around at this.
Yeah, I've seen him on the stream before.
Yeah.
He gets multiple Overlords there and then just sends them around. Like, you have to kill 3 Overlords before the creep goes, basically. This is kind of a smart little move here.
Yeah, very, very annoying. And especially with Overlord speed, it works so nicely.
Not even getting the Marines to shoot.
Oh, wow.
That must be frustrating, considering he's got nothing to shoot up right now.
And if he wants to try and take the base up here, he's going to have a really hard time. But meanwhile, Blue Flame Hellions at the 3rd base, trying to kill off a few of these workers, as well as the Zerglings. The Roaches should be able to push that away. Happy is a little bit constricted here, because he's not going to get his 3rd base down for a long, long time.
Yeah, and this is beautiful. It's just a great game here from TLO. Great scouting, great information, great denial of the 3rd, and Happy can't really do anything. 17 drones in production, that saturates that base fully, and he can even go to the top left to take a 4th base while playing Swarm Host. Perfect. And then what we're going to see is creep spread through the middle and just rally Swarm Hosts over.
He's trying to walk a queen over to this base in the 3rd. Will he be able to throw down a creep tumor?
A little bit too fancy there, I think.
I think he's going to get one down.
Yeah,
oh, well, there's units there enough to clean it up anyway.
So a little bit fancy, but not quite. But great spread throughout the middle of the map here. And Swarm Hosts are going to be over there in a couple of minutes, and then just going to rally, 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 rally. And this is so difficult for Happy. TLO is killing him.
Yeah, on the plus side, he killed the Marine there as well, and that doesn't means he doesn't have any anti-air to kill off that Overlord. But meanwhile, just killing off Hellbat after Hellbat, and this crippled is Happy right now.
Yeah, TLO is absolutely killing it this game. He's playing so good.
It's been a fantastic game from TLO. This has actually been one of the more fantastic games that I've seen of him recently. It's very nice to watch.
Yep, and now Swarm Hosts are over there ready to go. And this is going to be almost impossible to stop.
Jeez.
He just doesn't have enough money to be able to build enough army to be able to push them back. He's got Roaches supporting them. And Swarm Hosts, of course, do a lot of damage.
The follow-ups, the small steps that's been taken here, even with this base that he's about to establish up at the 3rd location, the 4th has now got creep tumors all over it as well for TLO. This has been phenomenal.
Yeah, great game here. Absolutely fantastic game, of course. And this is a 1-1 game, so the loser of this is knocked out. We're in the loser bracket. Happy would be eliminated from the Insight Extreme Masters European Qualifier for, of course, that Cologne event. With more and more Swarm Hosts going over, this is going to get more and more difficult to hold on to.
Yeah, it really is. TLO using these Swarm Hosts in a great way at this point as well. He's even adding on the Spire, looking for more methods to really hurt his opponent. And Happy has to spend so many scans down at the south.
There's so much he can do at this point with this kind of money and situation. He could build 10 Mulisks. Like,
exactly.
I mean, what else is there's a couple of turrets, but 10 Mules can't, I mean, a turret can't stop that. He can do so much from this point. He can start to increase his upgrades for further tech as well. He's just in a wonderful position. He could absolutely do anything from this. But he can build a Baneling S and build Baneling speed and go. Like, anything he can do is possible.
Happy feels like he has to break out of this, otherwise he is in bad news bears as well. The Hellbats trying to soak up some of this damage. Siege tanks will close the gap with a few of these Swarm Hosts. So they may have to unburrow and retreat out here. A very nice breakout for Happy, but the game is far from won yet here. He still has to do a lot more.
Yeah, well, more waves of Swarm Hosts are coming out. There's 8 more Roaches or so on coming to help out too.
few of these tanks will end up dying off, maybe. I mean, right now he hasn't lost a single one, so good spread of tanks there, and good use of their damage.
Yeah, and of course he does finally take his third command center with a fourth next to it as well. He has broken through for now. But as we can see in the production tab, more and more units coming up. TLO does need to saturate that fourth base though. He does have it ready to be used. And now the fourth bottom left has been cleared out. TLO does not want to give freedom to Happy. He's got to trade off units. He's got a better income. He needs to do this.
Now the Roaches will end up all dying off, but at the same time there are more Swarm Host numbers amassing. TLO has binded these Swarm Hosts to the same key, and unfortunately they're rallying forwards with the Locust, but that's something that happens a lot when you're playing Zerg.
Yeah, and a couple of Mutilas coming in to push this non-anti-air army back.
The amazing thing is about this game is that there's been so many scans that Happy has had to throw down at the south, against these Swarm Hosts, at the third, that he actually hasn't dropped a mule in ages. Ages.
But TLO cannot allow Happy to take a fourth. That's like the no-no.
Yeah.
Allowing him to break out from this is like, oh, okay, cool, you broke out, nice, well done. But allowing him to take the fourth and actually mine from it, that's a disaster. That's when the game actually starts to turn heavily in favor of Happy.
And the Swarm Hosts aren't really doing what they want to here. Happy is performing this slow push across the middle of the map with pinpoint precision. Very, very accurate. But now there's really not a whole lot. If he can kill off those Vikings, those Mutalisks are going to rain.
Great move.
Very, very nice swarm. Straight across the middle of the map. The Siege Tanks and Hellbats are in full retreat. He gets back to a few of these units. That one Thor could be the saving grace. He needs to bring some SCVs to repair that.
Yeah, I would just bring the Swarm Host forward again and use the Mutalisks and Roaches to come down south. He cannot allow this to turn to planetary, cannot allow it to be mined from.
But any Viking that he can get rid of from this point onwards with those Mutalisks means that the follow-up of the Great Aspire, along with Swarm Hosts as well, is going to be equal. It's so punishing to deal with for Happy.
Oh, great move here from TLO, just as I thought he'd do or should have done. He's just come down. He cannot allow this to get established up. But of course, Happy is going to try and get this into a planetary, get turrets around it to defend it. But Swarm Hosts are here to help out too.
Really nice use of Swarm Host during this game for TLO. Not sitting back, always really keeping the pressure on his opponent. +3 weapons, +2 armor going down for him now as well. And all the SCVs, well, they're going to be all dead here. There's really no anti-air still. There's a missile turret, but that's
and now 7 Corruptors, which means Brutals are coming in soon as well. GG. Good game there by TLO. A little bit rocky in the mid-game, but to be honest, I think he was still comfortable anyway. A good game from TLO, and he does advance on to another round in the lower bracket, and I think would go up against the winner of Vortex and Nurture.
Ah, a nice one. A very, very nice one. I mean, TLO, from like the 10, 12, 15 minute mark onwards, it was just nothing but fighting, fighting, fighting. TLO makes Swarm Hosts look fun.
Yes, he does. That was a good game from TLO, definitely. Unfortunately for Happy now, he is eliminated from the Intellectual Masters European qualifying, will not make it to the main event. And I suppose he just has the WCS to look forward to from this point. And sadly, to see him lose, we'll have to find out our next game in a couple of moments' time. I've had a quick word with the admin to find out what's going on, and he'll update me in a moment.
Awesome. Do you want to give us a bit of an update as well on the brackets, Sean? That'd
sure, we can have a look at the brackets. Not too much has changed. We can come and have a look now. I've set this up on my PC. 4GG is up there with Tefl in the semis. Remember, 2 players from the winner bracket will advance through. So the 2 players that make it to the overall finals are qualified. We're getting closer and closer and closer. Jack G versus Hazjobs. I don't know how that went. It has not been updated since. Kane versus Mana. And then down here, we've had Vortex beat out Demaga. Teal over Baby Knight, now Teal over Happy. And Stardust over Grubby. Stardust moves on to play somebody from up here.
Somebody from up there. Yeah.
That's right.
I wonder if those have concluded, because maybe, you know, the bracket's a little bit further behind. Mana's playing right now, and he has been playing for 13 minutes. So...
Well, that was the bracket updated, like, now, so that's completely refreshed. All right, so... okay, so, from what I've been told, is Nurture Vortex is almost over.
Okay.
That would mean TLO would play one of those in a second. Or Jack G versus Mana or Kane. Bowl games right now are 1-1, and they're all being played the third map. So we have to wait a little bit here before we get to our next round, especially if players don't want to jump in immediately to the next game. So I think there's a little bit of wait here before the next one.
All right. Well, that means we'll go to a short break. And then when we're back, guys, we'll have more action from the Intel Extreme Masters Europe qualifiers. Join us in a bit.